Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. James Shinkle.
I fear I'm going to place myself firmly in the older generation by doing so, but I'm going to begin today with some history. But at least it's the history of this event, Commencement at Trinity, and it concerns proceedings that are not very far in the past. In fact, it concerns events that will happen right after I'm done, as you're lining up in order to receive your diplomas. Up until about 10 years ago, before the first name was announced, someone from this podium would make the request of the audience to please hold your applause until all of the candidates have received their diplomas. You in the audience now are probably thinking, what a silly idea. I came all this way and perhaps paid all that tuition so I could raise a ruckus specifically for my son, daughter, brother, sister, friend, whoever. And the enthusiasms of the previous audiences here bear you out. There were always outbursts of shouting and wolf whistles and even air horns. So reality was faced up to, and the instruction has been deleted from the script. But why was it there in the first place? From my personal history with Trinity students, I have a scenario that provides one answer. The story of an advisee of mine who graduated in the mid-90s. Toriel, as I will call her, was a good student. After declaring her biology major, though, her challenges really began. First was a serious illness in her sophomore year. And then in her junior year, her father lost his job, and it was unclear how she was going to pay for tuition and afford her senior year. But Toriel made it and graduated with her class. However, the challenges had taken their toll. Her grades didn't quite rise to the level that earned Latin honors, and she had some rather more important things to do than to join the honor society she was eligible for, and thus wear the honor cords that would go with her regalia. And because of her family's dislocations, none of them made it to the event. And so, bookended by the exuberant cheers for the candidates before and after her, Toriel crossed this stage in silence. It was that conspicuous silence that this policy was meant to prevent. So I shared the plan to tell this story today with a close colleague. Her response, probably like yours, was, well, that's depressing. Why on earth are you going to tell them about that? And it would be depressing if that were the end of the story, and it was only a story about a policy that didn't do what it was supposed to do. But Toriel's story did not end there. She walked off the stage into a good job, and that job turned into a satisfying career. But even on that apparently gloomy commencement day, things were not all bad. She had, against the odds, finished with her degree on time. Crossing the stage, she had the knowledge that she could rise to the occasion. And she also came away with the internal standards for what it means to do a good job, independent of what external accolades came along with it. So if internal standards were Toriel's reward at commencement, what exactly were they? Well, they were the solution to Toriel's challenges. She had very little margin for error. If she didn't get her part-time job hours in, tuition money might not be there. And if she did overended and had to withdraw from a class, that might mean an extra semester. She needed to make good decisions. To do so, she took everything she learned from her classes, everything her professors had told her about her work, everything her supervisors had told her at work, and more, and stuffed it all into her head in a way that made sense so that she could predict, looking forward, how to solve her problems. She could figure out a schedule for her part-time job. She could decide exactly what needed to be done to get all of her coursework done. Maybe not perfectly, but always well enough so she never dug herself into a hole. Essentially, she figured out how to grade herself. And based on what's happened to her since, those internal guides continued to serve her well. And this is where I turn to the here and now. Your challenges, well, most of them, have not been as dramatic as tutorials, but you have had them and you have overcome them. You have your own set of internal standards. You often know when you turn in a paper what grade you're going to get. And you can predict just how far behind you are going to be after that weekend in Austin, even if you choose not to believe that forecast. What may not have occurred to you is that these abilities are the most transferable skills you have. If you've embraced your time at Trinity and we, the faculty, have done our job, you are coming away with perspective to wield your abilities and passions to good purpose and to take fair measure of your accomplishments. And with that, to the audience, raise the roof as you will. To the graduates, even as you head back to your seat and hear the air horns going off for somebody else, know that you have something worthwhile and it will stay with you for a long while. And I've always wanted the chance to say this in the public forum, not just in private after the ceremony. Congratulations.